Welcome back to The Essential Space. Today we are joined again by our friend Jake Minot. And today we're going to discuss the types of floors that are recommended in high traffic facilities and why. Good morning, Jake.
Good morning.
Jake, last time we talked a little bit about the pitfalls and some of the things that are happening in flooring. If you could just tell us a little bit about what we learned, and then if you can lead that right into talking about what type of floors you do recommend in those areas.
With so many flooring options out there today, there are some that fit our application and some that don't. We discussed LVT, linoleum, and rubber type floors. Those have their place and they do really well in low traffic facilities or residential markets. That they're phenomenal in those applications. But as you alluded to, when you get into grocery stores, K through 12, big box retail, healthcare, big office buildings, those types of applications, it makes more sense from a maintenance and cost perspective to go with really what we call the big three. It's VCT, vinyl composite tile, concrete, or terrazzo are the three that we typically see today. And there's a reason that those are the three most popular. It's because, number one, they're extremely durable. Number two, the cost of installation can get pretty pricey when you're talking about terrazzo and concrete. VCT can be a little more budget friendly. But when you look at the wide array of maintenance programs that you can design with those three types of floors, the sky's really the limit. So the beauty of it is you can build and design a maintenance program that's going to fit your budget for whatever facility you're looking at. And that's really why, in our opinion, that those are the three best flooring choices for high traffic areas.
So talk specifically, let's break those three down. Let's talk about VCT. Give us a recommendation where VCT would be highly recommended.
Yes, I think one of the most common places we see VCT today is still in those school settings. It's probably the most prevalent flooring type in schools today. A part of it has to do with the installation costs, because when we're talking about schools with remodels or new construction, typically they don't have a blank check that they can write for whatever they want. There's some budget constraints listed in there that they have to stay within. And VCT is a very durable flooring type that can fit into those budget-friendly options.
From a maintenance standpoint, I'm wondering on the longevity. Tell us a little bit about what the VCT longevity would be.
Yes, I mean, VCT, the longevity is really dictated by your maintenance program. But we've walked into some schools with some VCT hanging around out there that's 30, 40, 50, 60 years old that still looks in decent shape. As long as it's maintained properly, your ROI on that flooring type is pretty instantaneous. And then, it just continues to save you money years and years down the road as you don't have to redo that entire floor selection.
Schools don't have high budgets where they can just, every 3 or 4 years replace the flooring. So VCT is definitely a good idea. Next one we're going to talk about is terrazzo. So where do you see terrazzo at and where is that recommended?
Yeah, so terrazzo, we're starting to see it a lot more in schools. A lot of schools will still be VCT, but when you walk into their main lobby, they'll have terrazzo and they'll have the school logo printed in the floor in this terrazzo. So they're doing some really cool stuff with it. You see it a lot in healthcare too. And it's a very durable floor choice. We see some old school concrete terrazzo that I couldn't even tell you how old it is. Extremely old, but still looks really good. So again, it's extremely durable. And then, the great thing about this is with terrazzo, you have even more options maintenance wise than you have with VCT. You can polish it with diamond pads. You can put a coating on it. You can put a sealer on it. Anything from a regular floor finish to something like Pantheon that's going to give you stain resistance to something like TRX that's a 2-part urethane that you're never going to have to strip again. So just the array of maintenance programs that you can design for terrazzo really give you the flexibility to build that program around your budget.
And from what I've seen, terrazzo can be very beautiful. The presentation alone can up the game, and then you also are living with something for quite a while. It's not something that, a lot of really pretty things, like when we were talking about some luxury vinyl tiles before and some different things, those don't last as long. They don't stay as pretty as long. I believe that there's quite the restorative value in terrazzo. If you find terrazzo somewhere, you can usually restore it back to life. If it's been there for underground or whatever, you can come in and really restore that to make it shine again. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. Kind of leading into concrete, terrazzo is like concrete in that instance, is that you can go back in and you can grind and you can hone that terrazzo and get it back to looking almost brand new, much like you can with concrete. Terrazzo, you have to be a little bit careful. It depends on how thick they lay it.
And so where is it that you would recommend concrete?
So concrete, we're seeing it all over. I think the most prevalent and the most popular choice right now is grocery store and big box retail. And it's becoming a very popular choice. It's kind of sold as this maintenance-free option that looks really good when it's polished and it's honed and get that good gloss. You don't really have to put a coating on top of it. The problem with it is that eventually subsides and you have to do something to bring it back. And that's a beautiful thing about concrete as well, is you can design a maintenance program from extremely budget friendly to as expensive as you want to go.
Yeah, and at Essential here, we very recently launched a concrete program that we can work with this type of flooring, correct?
Correct. We launched two products. So the first is Pantheon. Especially in grocery stores, if you ever walk down the wine aisle or the juice aisle, somebody spills something there, there's usually a stain there to remind you that you spilled that. Because when it gets into concrete, you have to grind that stain out.
Right.
There's really no pulling it out. So with Pantheon, it's a sealer. It's designed specifically for concrete. One of the problems you have with concrete is a lot of coatings, any type of coating, you don't get really good adhesion. Concrete's so porous, so getting really good adhesion has always been an issue. And we solved that with Pantheon. We designed it specifically to chemically bolt to the floor. And you have the stain resistance to anything in a grocery setting that could be spilled on that floor, and most things in an industrial setting that could be spilled on those floors. You have stain protection from, and it gives you the look, the gloss of a polished floor without having to go through all the expensive and labor intensive steps of actually grinding and honing and polishing that concrete floor. And then we just launched our Centurion, which is a densifier cleaner. You have a lot of people who say, hey, I don't want any coating, sealer, guard, anything on this floor. I want to grind it, hone it, polish it, bring it up to a certain grit level, and then maintain that throughout the life of the floor. And that's where a product like Centurion can help. We did a competitive market study on similar products that are on the market now. And what we found was most of those products didn't have really good turbidity, which is how you measure how well a cleaner works. And we discussed that on a previous podcast. And they also didn't have very much densifier. It was almost like trace amounts. So when we designed this, we kept both of those things in mind and designed a product that you can run through your auto scrubber that's going to clean better than anything we've seen on the market. And it also has enough densifier in it to where it's going to fill in those cracks and pores in your concrete, and it's going to really start building gloss upon itself so you get better light reflectance, which is, as you know, how you measure gloss.
Great information today. We learned about recommended flooring for more of the high traffic facilities. We talked about hospitals, schools, the big box retail, and we talked mainly about VCT, the terrazzo flooring, and then we have the concrete. So we thank you again for this great information, Jake. We believe at Essential that we could save you a lot of time and money if we were able to join you in the decision of what types of floors that you can put into these high traffic facilities. If you would like more information or to reach out to any of our team in your area, leave us a message on LinkedIn, or you can also go to our website at www.essind.com. And we look forward to seeing you again in the Essential space.